I would like to begin by sort of summarizing something that happened over the course of the summer. Um, I promise it's not a huge long story, but I happened to meet a lady who needed help in running her business. I was between jobs because I'd broken my ankle and I lost my job that I had due to said broken ankle, and I was literally just getting back on my feet. And yeah, I met this lady by accident one day, and she said, "Oh, I could use a hand." And I was like, "Well, I got nothing else going on, so okay, um, what do you need?" So anyway, she kind of talked to me, got to know me a little bit. She wasn't very old. I would say she was probably in her later 60s, similar age to like my parents. But she went on to say, "I need a hand because I have kidney problems." And I was like, "Oh, that sounds terrible. I'm sorry." Anyway, over the course of the summer, I saw her in person about 4 times, because the rest of the time she was either in the hospital or at home trying to recover from having been in the hospital. Her immune system was just totally compromised. She was in renal failure. She had an infection in her liver. Like, it was looking bad. And I was just like, what am I doing here? Why is this happening? And anyway, I got to go and see her at her home. And I don't know if you've ever seen anybody in renal failure, but she was also having cirrhosis problems too because of her liver infection. So it was tough. It was tough to see. And it felt especially tricky for me because I did not know her very well. So I was just like, I feel like this is a personal space thing and I shouldn't be here. I don't know. But, she asked me to be there. So, I went because she requested, but otherwise I would have felt super awkward. Anyway, she was convinced, even though her kidneys, like her kids were telling us, like the doctors, her kidneys are at less than 5%. Like, there's like nothing they can do. Anyway, I'll never forget because her kidneys were shutting down, her feet were super, super swollen, like they get, really distended. And she had her feet on a footstool because that was supporting them and making her feel comfortable. And she was talking about taking a trip to Mexico and wanting to put her feet in the sand. And I was just looking at her feet and I was just like, I don't know if those feet are going to get to do that. Like that was sort of where my head was at. Anyway, time marched on. I got a new, more permanent job, and, I kind of left some space between us because I was like, again, I don't know you very well and I don't want to encroach on any of your personal space. And just a few nights ago, I got a phone call from somebody who happened to know this lady as well. And she was asking me if I knew anything about her health situation. And I said, I don't have any current information. And the only reason I don't is because I don't want to reach out and ask, because I don't want to be that person who's like, "Hi, can you tell me about your loved one and their health situation? Because I'm just nosy." Like, obviously I'm not going to do that. That's just weird and wrong. So I said, no, I don't know. And this lady said the same thing to me. She's like, yeah, I don't want to phone them and be bothering them or anything like that, or dredging up something terrible, potentially. And she decided and told me, okay, I'm going to go look online and see if I can find anything. And I said, okay, you go ahead and do that. I'm just going to let it be and do my own thing. Anyway, inside of 5 minutes, she phoned me back and said, yeah, she's gone. And I was like, yeah, kind of not really surprised, and I'm sorry. But at the same time, her health was in not good shape, and she was constantly struggling with it, and it was just, the quality of life was tough to reconcile. Anyways, I learned that, and I got to thinking about the video I made about poetry and how I was kind of like, I don't know about this, you guys. Well, it just occurred to me in listening to other people discuss poetry, poetics, and why it matters. I get it. It matters because it offers a sense of hope and resilience. And that's a lesson that this lady was showing me ultimately from her deathbed when I saw her that day. She didn't seem fazed by or to be interested in the fact that her kidneys were like not working anymore, and dialysis wasn't helping at all, and like it was just grim, She didn't care. She just acted like, I'm going on my trip to Mexico, I'm not canceling it, and things like that. And she chose to think that way in the face of medical evidence that she's probably not going to live that long. I feel like that was what she came in to show me, because she had every reason to just roll over and give up. I think most people probably would, confronted with that kind of prognosis. But she kind of refused to do that. And I admire that, quite honestly. Because, she was deliberately choosing not to focus on the negative outcome. And she was able to do so while in the throes of all of the struggle with organ failure and all the discomfort that entails, that I'm sure I don't even know even a fraction of, because I've never been through such a thing, so I don't know. But I can just assume that it was not a comfortable experience. And when we're in a lot of physical discomfort, it is really hard to remain philosophical and not be completely wired into our ego mind, which is telling us, you're in a lot of physical pain, you need help, you need drugs, you need, right? like we do. It's like we do. She didn't do that. She just kind of showed me my susceptibility to giving up and not having hope. And that's what any practice, whether it be poetry or painting, sculpting, dance, metalwork, anything, any art form that you that you do is an act of hope. It's an act of choosing to create something, through your intellect, whether it be with your hands or through like words and communication. You're communicating something and trying to demonstrate hope that this futile thing that we call life is still somehow worth it, even though we all die. I feel like that's what the act of creating anything does or is trying to do. So, therefore, it makes sense to me now in a way that it didn't at the time when I was making that video. It makes sense to me now that that's why I kind of gave up on writing as a general thing, as a pursuit, because there was a long time, where there was no hope at all for anything. So why would I write anything down? This whole thing that we call being alive? Why do I want anything to do with this? Why do I want to document this in any way? It's just awful. All of it is awful. Right? That's the way I was living after I graduated from school. So it makes sense. I didn't write anything. I didn't publish anything. I didn't pursue anything because I gave up. And it's hard to reconcile that now with this sudden interest again and this sudden desire to kind of be like, oh, well, I should write that down. That's important. It's hard to kind of be like, why did I not write anything for so long? And what makes me suddenly capable of it now? And, like I'm trying to talk myself out of it all the time, even though I know that I shouldn't. There's no reason to. Anyway, I just feel like that's what I was meant to learn. That's what I was meant to see and gather from this summer. I literally had to learn again how to walk on my 2 feet and support myself on my own 2 feet and learn that lesson that even with a condition like dysthymia, which is what I have, as a sidebar, in case that's a strange word, it's just a fancy term for very low grade constant depression. There's a deficit of chemicals in my brain that I get replaced synthetically every morning with a pill, and it helps, but there's still a susceptibility to depression. So when that happens, things go sideways on me. So anyway, yeah, it's hard to not turn on myself and be like, why do you want to write now? What makes you think you can do it now? But you can anytime. I think that's what I'm really trying to say for myself, probably more than anybody else. But hey, if it helps anybody watching, good. It is helping me to remember that my telling myself all my life, you can't, don't, you're not allowed, how dare you, is all a result of what I was told by people in authority. And I took that authority externally, those external words, I took them as truth. Even though there was zero evidence to back any of it up, I just believed it. And now that I'm older and I can kind of look at things and understand, oh, no, that was all just stuff that people said. None of it was actually true. And I don't need to believe it. So I'm gonna choose not to. But some days it's hard to remember that that's a choice that I can make. And anyways, I hope this was kind of helpful, and it might help me kind of lean back into maybe sharing some work in the future. Again, I'm still self-conscious to do that, but if there's something in particular you wanted to hear or anything, please do let me know what that would be for you, and I can sort of have a direction to focus on, because obviously poetry, right? It's kind of a large area. There's a lot of directions to go. So if you have thoughts on that direction, please do indicate them. That would be fantastic. And I hope that you're doing well and that you continue to choose hope in your life, or that you will if you're not at the moment for any reason. But I also know there can be no pressure, and you have to do it when you are ready to, and no sooner. So I will leave us with that. There is the subscribe button and a video down there that you can go ahead and watch if you so wish. And thank you for being here. I'll see you later.